Hi.
Hello. Hi. How's it going? Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Daniela Garcia Moreno. I'm the new sustainability planner with NMCOG, and I'll be facilitating this meeting as well as moving forward all the NMSC work and other sustainability initiatives for our region. So welcome to our quarterly meeting for December 12th, NMSC. And we have some great speakers today, so I'm glad you could all join us. So quick overview of our agenda. We're gonna do some introductions. We have pretty good attendance. We're expecting a couple more people, so hopefully they join on later on. We're gonna do a quick overview of the Stormwater Coalition meeting, some MS4 permit updates and bylaw requirements overview with Laura Schiffman of Mass DEP, Stormwater Public Outreach and Ed with Arthur Marcus of Tewksbury. We have some time for discussion and questions, as well as time for town updates. And finally, we're going to introduce a new initiative that we're hoping to undertake within NMSC, which is the PFAS working group. So like I mentioned before, this meeting will be recorded, so you can distribute it more widely with people that may have not been able to join us today. And I guess we can just kick off with our first agenda item. So some quick introductions. Like I said before, my name is Daniela. I use she, her pronouns and sustainability planner with NMCOG. Joining us also is Arthur. Arthur, would you mind introducing yourself?
Okay, you can see me? Okay, yes. How you doing? My name is Arthur. I work for the town of Tewksbury. I'm a project manager, and among other things, I oversee our stormwater program.
Great. And joining us also is Laura Schiffman. Laura, could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Laura Schiffman. I'm Mass DP Stormwater Program Coordinator, and I'm also in the position of acting section chief for the surface water discharge program right now. Some of you might have met me before in the past. Been in this position for about 3 years, the stormwater role, and work closely with EPA Region 1 on providing compliance assistance with the MS4 permit.
Thank you, Laura. We also have today joining us Jenny Ray, who is the Executive Director for NMCOG, as well as Carlin Andrus, who is the GIS Specialist with NMCOG. And if the rest of our participants could share their names, positions, and the towns that they represent in the chat, that'd be really great, so we all get an idea of who is here. We can move to the next agenda item. Are you still seeing my screen? Leave it. Okay, figured it had stopped sharing for some odd reason. There we go. So for some quick statewide stormwater meeting updates. So the last statewide meeting was about a month ago on November 10th. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, and I am still awaiting notes from that meeting. So be on the lookout for an email containing updates from that meeting, which I will get out to you as soon as possible. I'll take that opportunity to say, if you're not receiving our emails and would like to, please also feel free to drop your email in the chat, and I'll be sure to add you to that mailing list. Sometimes they go to the junk folder, so be sure to check that you're not missing out on any exciting NMSC or other NMCOG related updates. So next up, I'll hand it over to Laura, who will be giving some updates on MS4 and a general overview of the bylaw updates requirements. Thank you again, Laura, for joining us, and take it away.
Absolutely, yeah. So some of the things I wanted to make people aware of in terms of MS4, we are at the point of the permit. We're technically in year 5, but because of some strange, some of the way the permit was being implemented, I guess, with the stay. The permit was really only 4 years long as opposed to 5, which is the usual time frame for a permit. So the permit is technically expired, but that means it's being administratively continued. So all the permit conditions continue to apply. And you should have received a letter from EPA over the summer letting you know that this permit was expired, but it is administratively continued. So any conditions apply. Any annual reporting requirements like catch basin cleaning, street sweeping, O&M, and so forth continue to be applicable and have to be reported as part of the annual reporting process. And as you're probably aware, there are a few different requirements in the permit that extend beyond the 5-year typical time frame. So some of the IDDE work has a time frame that's about 10 years long with different milestones in between. And some of the impaired waters requirements have requirements that kick in after permit year 4 and 5. So with that in mind, do stay, keep that in mind as you keep going with your stormwater work. I was just on a call with EPA this morning. They did confirm that they are working on a rewrite or an update of the MS4 permit, and they're hoping that that's going to come out next year for public notice. There's going to be obviously public notice period for that. Once that's the case, I'm sure you'll hear there's going to be a good amount of outreach regarding that, so you can make sure to review the permit and comment on it when that time comes. I just mentioned some of the extended timelines that were written into the 2016 permit. Those are going to be carried over into the new permit. So if something was on a 10-year time frame for 2016 and was due, let's say, in 2028, because the permit went into effect in 2018, that 2028 deadline still applies for that particular requirement. It'll just be transferred into the new permit. So that's, and there are several different pieces like that could apply to. So that might be some of the IDDE work or some of the BMP implementation work. In terms of other bylaw work, I know that Daniela wanted me to touch on that. Year 4 of the permit, so this past year, there was a requirement in the MS4 permit to develop a bylaw that assesses existing local regulations, and not just your stormwater regulation or your wetlands regulation, but this would include your zoning bylaw or any sort of other building code, maybe not code, but some other bylaws that might apply, and determine what the feasibility is in terms of installing green roofs or infiltration practices like rain gardens, curb extensions, planter gardens, porous pavement, pervious pavement, and other stormwater management practices, or water harvesting devices like rain barrels or cisterns. And then within that, as you look through those bylaws, develop a schedule for implementation for those different kinds of green infrastructure. The idea here really is to assess your code in terms of what's feasible for implementation of these, how you can improve your code. And there are some really useful resources that Mass Audubon has developed that can help you develop or go through your bylaw review if that's something that you haven't done yet. That is something that EPA is looking forward to in terms of evaluating whether municipalities have carried this out. And the counter to this green infrastructure piece is actually the impervious surface area reduction piece that goes along with this. It's the same, as you go through your code, you're not just looking for opportunities for implementation of green infrastructure, but also assessing current street design and parking lot guidelines that might impact the creation of impervious cover. So is it possible to potentially change your code to see if there are any design standards that allow for streets and parking lots to support low impact development options, or procedures to minimize impervious cover attributable to parking areas and street designs. So maybe there's an opportunity for some porous pavement options. Maybe some bump outs could include green infrastructure like tree pits or rain gardens. And trying to assess whether or not that's something that you can do. And the whole point of this is really thinking about, not just what you're doing right now, but as you're working through capital development projects, is it possible for your projects to just start to continue to incorporate green infrastructure as the sort of baseline that's just going to be part of the projects going forward? And again, the Mass Audubon bylaw review tool is really helpful in assessing some of these different local regulations. I know that the Cape Cod Commission has developed sort of a version 2 of the Mass Audubon tool, where they've included some MS4 specific pieces. And I see Daniela shaking her head, so she probably has access to that, which is great. And can share that with you all. But one of the, this is a really important piece going forward as we're trying to reduce the amount of impervious area. As you know, impervious area is the largest contributor to stormwater runoff and really has, and is the largest source of pollutants to our waterways. So that's something that we're trying to think about creatively and how that can be reduced, the impervious area. So the benefit of a lot of these forums is I think that there's a lot of opportunity for exchange. So if that is something that you're interested in talking about, I think this is really an awesome opportunity to do so, to get some ideas from your peers. I know, and this is a little bit of obviously a very different universe, but Boston recently announced that they've developed a new policy where every bump out for a curb bump out is now required to include green infrastructure. So that's a big ask, I think, maybe to implement, but it is a really great model to set and follow, I think. So those are some of the pieces. I know that there's some other folks that have done work in relation to this bylaw review. And so I think it was Merrimack Valley Planning Commission that held some workshops last year for to help municipalities workshop through that. And there might be more workshops coming up, and I'll make sure to pass those on to Daniela. So that's the piece I really wanted to talk about, was this bylaw review. I think this is again something that EPA is really closely looking at in terms of compliance with the permit, something that we see as a really great opportunity for moving forward for stormwater management. And I do have one other update that I wanted to share. This is in terms of the stormwater handbook. This is on the state side. And we were waiting for the final review or final green light to go out for public notice on the stormwater handbook. But unfortunately, with the change in administration, this has now been delayed. We are very close. And when we do get the green light, when we go out to public notice, our plan is to go out for public notice for more than the typical 30 days, probably 45 days. We'll do a pretty robust outreach effort to make sure that folks are aware that the handbook is out for public notice. And we'll also, once we've responded to comments and promulgated the regulations, we also plan to do another, follow-up robust public outreach with municipalities, with conservation commissions, specifically to ensure that there's that everybody's informed on the handbook. The nice piece about the handbook is that it's been completely redone. It's much more user-friendly and just has a much nicer feel to it. And one of the other pieces that we've included in that are low impact development and environmentally sensitive site.
I think we may have lost Laura. Seems to have frozen. And we'll wait a minute. Hopefully she'll come back.
My update.
Sorry, Laura, I think, I'm not sure if you were frozen for everyone, but I at least lost maybe the last like minutes of your updates.
Okay, where did it end?
Oh man. You were talking about some of the public outreach to come with the stormwater handbook.
Okay.
Public notice.
Yeah, so we're hoping to do outreach once the handbook goes out for public notice, and then once we've replied to comments and we promulgate the regulations, we also hope to do a really robust outreach campaign to ensure that conservation commissions are well informed on the new regulations. And just wanted to also say that just in general, the handbook has a really new, nice feel to it. It's much more user-friendly, and it's been sort of redone. Instead of having it be in 3 volumes, it's just one volume now, and just easier to handle. And one thing that I wanted to call people's particular attention to was the low impact development and environmentally sensitive site design credits that we've developed that we hope are going to make meeting the stormwater standards easier. Those credits come with some specific requirements, each of them, but it is just something to help project applicants meet the stormwater standards. So for example, if you have qualifying pervious areas that you use as a stormwater receiving area, that could be a water quality benefit for you, and you could meet that standard. And there's some other ones that, you know, like tree canopy cover credits that are really nice for folks to take advantage of in terms of runoff reduction and water quality benefits.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. That was a really great overview and lots of exciting updates to come. So we have time for one question. Does anybody in the audience have a question for Laura? And we'll have more time later on for discussion as well. But please feel free to raise your hand or type a question in the chat if you have anything for Laura. And I can also share Laura's contact information, if that is okay, Laura, and people can get in touch with her directly if they have any more questions about both the stormwater handbook or bylaws review or any MS4 permit updates.
Definitely.
I'll be sure to include that and some of the resources that Laura shared her overview. So thank you.
Absolutely.
So if we have no questions, then I will hand it over to Arthur, who is going to give us an overview of the stormwater management program at the town of Tewksbury.
Okay, I have control. Yeah.
You have control? Great.
Yep.
Awesome. We'll take it away.
All right. So I obviously I've been a member of, well, been attending this group now for probably 5 years. So I'm sure you guys know me. But this presentation I'm giving you is about our public education outreach program. So this original presentation was done, was requested from us from the EPA, they approached us. They liked our public education and outreach program. So I did a presentation under their Soak Up the Rain New England webinar series back in 2020. So this is virtually the same. I did have to add a couple things, new things that we've done. But it was a big presentation. It was supposed to be for 100 people, but it was in the middle of COVID. It ended up being for like 600 people ended up viewing this. So it's basically the same presentation. So here's hopefully this works. How do we go to the next slide? Oh, okay. So basically kind of the topics I want to cover would be is going to be the introduction of myself, a background, a brief overview of the town, I think, which is important because, you know, all the towns in this group are kind of the similar size, maybe have the same issues that they're dealing with. Our public education outreach goals, step by step, how we set up our program, and then the benefits that we've seen of having an effective public education outreach program in town. Next slide. So actually, before I get to this, my background is obviously I worked for the DPW Public Works Engineering Division. So I have a degree in engineering, but I also do bring in some other skills where I have a background with some web design and also some design, also some little bit of graphic design. So I do bring that unique talents to our program that I'm not sure that a lot of other towns have, but I make sure that I also not only can we do some design in-house, we'll be able to oversee if we do have some materials that we are getting designed. So basically give you an overview of the town. Obviously, like I said, most towns are very similar, but it gives you a perspective of what we're dealing with here. We got a population of about 29,000, mostly residential, some commercial, industrial developments near the highways. We have our 4 watersheds, the Shawshene, the Merrimack, the Ipswich River, and Suasco, which probably, you know, you guys all have too, because we're all bordering each other. And the important ones for us, obviously for our outreach, our impairments are phosphorus, chloride, E. coli, bacteria, and pathogens. We have a mixed drainage system, so we're not completely built up. We do have a lot of country drainage still in town. 70% of the homes are on sewer, and we have, you know, a good amount of outfalls, which we're still counting, I'm sure, as anybody is. We think we have 450, but probably more. And then cool fact, you know, corporate headquarters of Market Basket. So it's an FYI. All right, next slide. So here's just quick, I'm not going to get into it, but this is what our stormwater system and receiving map kind of looks like. You can see all our outfalls are in the other little squares, our impaired bodies in the red. And so you can see what we're dealing with in the hydrology of the town. And you know, so basically the whole town is very, we have a lot of swamps, a lot of wetlands, a lot of waterways. So it's very, when we are approaching people, everybody knows of some sort of wetland or pond or river in town. So it's easy for us to bring our outreach to people because they're living near it. Next slide. So what would our public outreach goals were? You know, not to do more than just fulfill the outreach requirements. Obviously, you know, we have to do that, but we wanted to make it. We want to establish an effective and efficient program. So by efficient, I mean is that on our end, so we won't have to be thinking about what we're doing all the time. So we wanted to set up so that we can have our messages and we can have what the information we want to go out there and put it out annually. And it's like I said, I used to do some work with small businesses, but we're not necessarily trying to sell a product. We're just trying to inform people. So we're not exactly branding and doing all this type of stuff. We're just trying to inform people through the avenues that we have. And our goal is to connect to all the businesses and residents, utilize our available resources and opportunities first, because those are in town and those are available to us. So we don't have to pay for that. And another thing is what we try to do, and this is kind of by design, is we want to drive internet traffic to our website, because that will give, and once it goes to our website, we can get a measurable count on who's visiting our website and how many visitors we have. And that's that's our kind of our goal is permitting wise is get metrics for reporting, measurable goals. And then ultimately, obviously, we're going to prevent stormwater pollution. Next slide. So here was a step-by-step we did to get our whole program going. And this was all started a little bit. We started our program a little bit before the actual new permit was put out. So so basically what we did is we identified, and I'll show you how we did this. We identified all our outlets, media, events, and contacts that we can get information to get to the public. And then what we did is well, actually, our number system's off, but we did it twice. Two things. So you get your general stormwater information that you want to get to everybody, and that's information that's independent of what impairments you have. So you have, what is stormwater, some cool little graphics, and information that is just for everybody. And then then you have the specific stormwater messaging that is based on the impairments that you have in your town. And then we distribute those messages, that information through our outlets. And then, as we go forward, we have now the ability to use that information and adapt it to newly identified outlets. So, for example, when we all started this, everybody was on Facebook all the time. Let's put something on Facebook. But then now, Instagram has emerged as equally as popular. So now you have to adjust. But for us, it's very easy to adjust because we're using the same messages. So so you make the program easy to run itself. Next thing. So here's a graphic this is what I made. So when we started our public outreach and education, these are all the outlets that we use in town. And they're probably similar in most towns. It's very generic, but these are what we use. And it starts from our website to printed materials to social media to town publications. A lot of piggybacking, like who's putting stuff out. Let's put a message with them. Make sure that it makes sense that it goes with them. Town events, school presentations, newspapers, mailing. So all this stuff we put into our program. Let me go to the next slide. So the first thing that we ended up doing, even before the permit was put into place in 2000, I think 16 or 17, whatever. I think it was. They delayed it for 1 year. We got our website to act as an information hub. Not only does it have all the information that for the general information is we can go there and say, what is stormwater? What should a homeowner do? But also it actually has all our, if you want, a link right next to it for our NMCOG required documents, so that when we're reporting, we can just put a link to there. There's PSAs on there. There's pictures of activities, all our brochures, everything is there, is downloadable, and people can view it. So what we do is, like I said, we're trying to drive people to our website. So everything that we do has our website on it. The other thing we did that I think is important is that I know that a lot of towns do have websites, and all of a sudden the URL is like a whole page long. It's very simple and easy to just go and try to get your webmaster to make it a //stormwater, so that you can use it on your promotion, or you can use it anywhere you need to on the internet, so that I can go to directly. The other thing is, not only website is the QR code that, like I said, that's emerging too. So you want to make sure that you have a QR code for your website too, as you're doing it too. That's kind of a new thing. And like the measurable goal is, how many unique visitors a year go to your to website, and that's very easy to get. And I don't know if this will work, but can we click on my on the website itself? If not, it's okay. I can.
Let me just reshare my screen so we can see. Sorry, 1 sec.
Oh, no problem.
So sorry, I am not finding the screen. Just a second. We need some background music.
I know, right? I mean, it's quite all right. We can just, I guess we can skip through it if I had to. It's not.
There it is. Can you see the website now?
Yes. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So you can just kind of click through it, just scroll down a little bit. It kind of starts off with the general information. I can't have control. So it starts with general information and it goes into like, what residents can do, what business owners do. It's very general stuff. And then it goes into all our brochures that can be downloaded. You can view them, public awareness, outreach, like some pictures of us out in the schools, out in things. We have a video that we have here, and I can show you that later on part of our presentation. But it's a video we put out, a promotional video that we did at one of our community markets. We have newspaper articles that we get. So with this whole entire thing is a hub. So everybody, when you go here, you find all our stormwater information. And if you go back to the top, actually the NMCOG is there. You go back up here and then you go to stormwater NIPI stormwater documents on the useful links on the right. Oh, yeah. So this is all our reporting stuff. So that's all there. And obviously this gets a little more complex. There's a lot of sublinks and stuff like that. But anyways, so what we created for our website, not only public awareness, but also it's very usable for us when we do our reporting. And not only that, it's for public viewing too. If someone wants to see our stormwater management plan, it's there. You can go look at it. And I'm sure a lot of communities do it, but I think the way we organize it, it makes sense a little bit for us using it as our staff. You can go back to the presentation. Okay, so you'll probably go to the next slide. So this is this is like the first thing we did. This was actually, we put this together. We've edited since, but we put this together before the actual permit came out. So this is very general information. So, but it's a trifold brochure and it has all encompassing information you want on it. So it's a one for all. If you can give it to someone and all the information's on there. I designed this one in-house, and then we actually print them in-house too. So it's very easy for us to do. We can send it to a print house if we had to. We put these everywhere, public events, presentations, and then it's pretty universal use. And then, we probably do about 200 to 300 of these a year. We put them everywhere. You can click the next slide. You can actually see the, so it's kind of folded. So this is the back side and the front side. So we added, what business owners can do, best management practices for contractors. We put those on there recently. Where you deposit your oil, and then we can go to the front. Next slide. It's just very general information. What is stormwater stuff, stormwater management plan, what can homeowners do? We have that graphic actually is from South Carolina. I actually called them and asked them if I contacted them and asked them if I can use it. Because we were printing it. And then we have the QR code. So we definitely started adding the QR code in a lot of this stuff too. You have to, and I think it's technology is emerging and it's much more, people are using it more, you'll start seeing it. So you can go to the next slide. So then that's our general information. So then what happened is you have the mandated outreach messages that you have to put out in regards to our impairments. And obviously we have our impairments are in town, our phosphorus, chloride, E. coli, and bacteria. So what we did is we weren't going to do one off and send a random message out, pick up your leaves. So or pick up your dog. So what we did is we vetted, we wrote down our messages, and then we start putting them out for each impairment. And we use a consistent language and imagery throughout all our outlets. So whether it's social media posts or public access TV or mailing, so it's all the same language. So it's easily, it's no, we don't have to think about it. We don't have to get super creative. It just kind of runs itself. We know we're going to put these messages out. And when you might say, oh, you're not keeping it interesting, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people do this information. We're not necessarily trying to sell a product. And I think that's what you don't want. That's why it's a little bit of a different approach. You can go to the next thing. So here are our messages. So and you can see when we put them out. So we put these out, the alternatives for de-icing, we just put that out first week of December. That's for our chloride impairment. Pick up after your pets, we put that out twice. You don't have to, I think you only have to put that out once a year. But we put it out twice, when it makes sense, April and August when people walk their dogs a lot. Lawn care, it's like a big one where we put out for lawn care and property maintenance. So it's not only in the spring. It's also in the springtime and in the fall time. We put those twice out. Septic system maintenance, obviously we have 70% septic in town, so we have to put this out. We put it out once in the summertime, reminding people to, you know, clean, get them cleaned and whatnot. And then draining your swimming pool, and actually draining your swimming pool is not, it does fall into our chloride impairment, but it's not necessarily something that people talk about a lot, but we do have a lot of issues with it. We kind of wrapped it into our public awareness message because people would dump hoses into their catch basin. So technically it was illicit discharges, but we're using kind of this platform a little bit to get people to not pump their swimming pools onto the street also. So that we put that out, and that's usually first week of September when everyone's getting their pools. Now you can actually, I don't know if you can click on that. Can you click on this link here? Maybe you can see, I don't know if it takes too much time, but those messages are yeah, so these messages are pretty big and thorough, and like have all the information you need on. You can click down on it. So I have these obviously on our website too, but we use the same exact text on all of our public awareness messages on that every year. So you can see one of them, you know, picking up heavy pesticides paragraph. We also pair these up with imagery. And I'll show you those. So it all it all makes sense, especially when you're doing social media posts, but you can kind of see them. There's five of them. There's all the text on them. Like, you know, the biggest one is the lawn maintenance. It's a lot of information, but it's all there. And like I said, so we're just trying to get that information to people, whether it's on our website, whether it's on social media posts. So it's all on there. Septic systems and stuff like that. You can close that out. You can, and there's links to that on our website if you can see those exact messages. Like we said, we wrote them. A lot of information that came from other places, like NMCOG had some materials, or the statewide coalition or other towns might have used some. So we compiled the best of all the information that we needed, and we put them together and use it. I can go to the next slide. And this is kind of what it looks like on our stormwater, on our social media posts. It's like, see the same image there with all the things. We use the same images and text through all different social media. And we, like I said, we always put a link to our website so that people can go back to our webpage and get more information. So we can kind of keep that as our metric, even though we do keep a little bit of metric on our Facebooks, and like there's like 2,500 followers for the town. And like I said, the town should have a lot of followers. Also, obviously, you know, a town has a unique perspective, because you want to know what's going on in town, so you'll be friends with, or you'll add friends for the town. So we're able to tap into that. You can go to the next slide. So this is what they kind of look like. We put them here, like on the Facebook. It kind of just gives you a link, and then that link goes to the website, or it goes to the town's website news section, which we also use. And the Instagram is very similar too, but you can see we use the same picture. We put it out on the same day, and it kind of gets everybody kind of knows that. I hit the next thing. And also the town's website also has a news feed. So that's also in that news feed that same day. So we put out that message that day. So that whole day, everybody will see this. We hope to get everybody to see this message. Next slide. So the other thing is we have local access TV, which actually wasn't around when the permit started, and it kind of is a new, actually surprisingly, it's a new department in town where, you know, I think it rose to popularity during COVID, where they were recording everything. But what they do is they're a TV station. They run all 24 hours, so they always need content. And and if you are running a stormwater program, I would recommend having a meeting with them, because you can use them and a lot of their resources about getting messages out. So what we did is we used those same messages. I sent them all to them with the graphics, with the graphic we use and the text, and they formed public awareness messages out of those, and then run them consistently on their station during whenever, you know, between programming. And then like for example, like, you know, I asked for, and they also run the NMCOG service announcements that they did. There's a minute one, and then the half-minute one, or the 2-minute one, and then the half-minute one. But like, yeah, so they'll broadcast like 250 times each a year. So like they're running, you know, once or twice a day, all of them. So it was a good, easy fit for us, because we had all our information. So we just kind of send it over to them. You can hit the next thing. The other thing we did this year, so as I seen because not only the public, the telemedia department has their own TV station, they also have a YouTube channel, and every time we would do something in regards to stormwater, they would be on there. So I got the idea, let's make a YouTube channel, get a YouTube playlist so that all the information, we can just take all those videos and we put them all on one YouTube playlist, and we can refer to that. So not only do we have our public awareness messages on there, we have like my IDDE training video that I did for the town. We have stormwater funding presentations that we did. We have our NMCOG outreach video. So it's all in one place. And you can click on that if you'd like to see it. You can see, so we do have like a YouTube channel. I know I'm putting Daniel on the spot here, but okay, yeah. So you can kind of see all of our different. We have like we have an Enviroscape demonstration that I did there. So I did a bunch of stuff during COVID where I knew I wasn't gonna be able to be around, say a school presentation or something. So I ended up recording it and like I said, we have a good relationship with our public for our telemedia department. So they came out, recorded me doing it. We have, presentation done on here. So it's all there. And we did it actually, I can show you this. We have a video, and I'm not sure if I have time to show this, but we did the community market video that we did on there. So again, all information is there, and it's just kind of cool to have like a playlist of all our stormwater materials and video. And this is I don't know if it's cool or something surprising. The way of the world is that's video is now is so important that I think you kind of have to address it and then play into the role of YouTube is there and let's use it because that's how people are getting information. So or you can click out of this and go back to the presentation. I'll kind of go a little faster. I know we don't have that much time, but the other thing is, the piggybacking with a lot of the public other offices in town hall and stuff. The quick one is dog licensing. So you want to obviously we asked them, we got a little bit of information, a little bit of room on their dog application, and we put in that same text that we use for our pet waste. The water department puts out a consumer confidence report. We actually send them the entire brochure that we have, and they put it in there. And those are easy. You can get measurable goals out of there. You can go next one. Participation in town events. So we have a booth. We actually have our own Enviroscape. And then we have all these materials that we bring with us to different events, new tablecloth and stuff like that. A lot of people that do come to these meet places, it's a great place to actually meet different community members, and you make new contacts. You meet people, who have like-minded and want to talk about the environment. And those are really great people to talk to. So that's good. There's also video. We won't show that, but there's a lot of kids and stuff that might want to come by, and then the Enviroscape is great for that. So you get a lot of family, and it's a great place. We put out a lot of the what we call the swag, and we give out the different materials. We have a water bottle that we gave out from and magnets and stuff like that. So you can go to the next slide, and that's what we made all this stuff, and I have them here. I can kind of show you them, but you kind of get the idea. We give the brochure. We made the bottles a couple of years ago, and we put a cool message on there. Clean drinking water starts with clean stormwater. We'll have our website on it. I think now we put like a QR code if it was now. Like I said, kind of adapting with new technology. You can keep going. Next one. And then school presentations. I think that now when I was my previous, I used to work for a different municipality, and we had set up school presentation every year, but it was actually for younger kids. It was in middle school. This in Tewksbury here, we go to the high school, and we obviously skipped a couple of COVID years, and we did some a Zoom call, a Zoom presentation, but we kind of incorporate it with their curriculum of the water cycle and water pollution, and we bring the Enviroscape. And then we also, what we do is we reach out and like, you know, it's publicized in the monthly newsletter that we went in school. Not only do we talk about stormwater, we do talk about the town a little bit and talk about engineering and you know, kids going to college and stuff. So we kind of talk about a lot of things, but we do get in there and we speak, and you know, it's really good to see you know, their interest in science, and then, you know, us telling them, you know, now stormwater, and that's what we're doing for the town. Next slide. And then the newspaper, something that I think is a good resource. I know a lot of people that might say, oh, you know, who's reading the newspaper anymore? But the newspaper also has a really popular website. And when you put something in their newspaper and you talk to them, and obviously you're a town and you're looking just for, and they're always, you know, as much as they like to get paid for advertisement, they always want content too. So they'll allow you, if you speak to the right people and you get in with them, and what we always do is we always let them know we're going to be at different events too, so they can come and take a picture, or they can post it in even on their social media page. So it's really good to keep the local newspaper. Ours is the Town Crier, and then, you know, they get 4,000 printed copies. So once we're in there, you know, that's a great metric for us. They also do, like, I sent them about our messages, so they'll do a stormwater tip of the week. So we did stuff like that. You can see the next slide is we made it on the front page at one of our outreach programs, events, and then you know, this is great this is 2017, so this is right when we started our program. We reached out to them and we told them we were going to be doing this the community market, they call, and then so they featured us. And then also on the right here is the tip of the week. Recycling tip of the week, where they use the stormwater pickup after your pets and stuff. So they use their own. I gave them liberty. I gave them all the messages, and they're able to use them whenever they can throughout. Like I said, they always need content, and they're always looking to fill stuff. So you can go to the next slide. And then the mailings. What we do every year is to get to our licensed drain layers. They're also, you know, most of them are all developers and they're all contractors. So we send them out a brochure we send them out a notice, and then we also send them out this image from the EPA, this little poster, and it shows them, you know, best management practices. So it's an easy one. You can send them out. We have about 60 drain layers in town, 58 drain layers in town that we send them out to. And then we also send out brochures to industrial sites, which we hope they get there, but we just kind of mail those out to try to reach our industrial landowners. Next one. So the other thing we did, we just kind of added is direct mailings, and we're looking for a way to get direct mail to people's houses. So the idea came up. You know, there's a company that comes to send stuff to your house, whether it's landscapers or restaurants. They send you know, these 4x8 postcards to your house. So we have, so now, like I said, we passed our stormwater utility fund back in 2019. So we do have a budget. And like I said, if anybody else wants to get information on this, I can give it to you guys. But basically they have lists of things. So they have, you know, say we wanted to target homeowners, they can just send a flyer to every homeowner, and they did that. We also just pet owners, they have lists of just people that own pets in town. So we were able to tap into them and then mail them out a card, and I'll show you them. And then also, we not only do we mail them, we get extra ones, and we use them as materials at events or in buildings. So I can show you the picture of them. You can go to the next one. This is and I'll show you those in person if you can see me. But can you guys see me here so I can show you guys? Wait, oh no. But you can. These are what they kind of look like. I don't know if you can see up here. They kind of just look like these get mailed to your house. And then this is a stormwater one. This is a pet waste one here too. So basically, we mailed these out. This was like 10,000 homes was sent to this, and then go to the next one. We also had, so we just got these mailed to just pet owners. This was like, I can't see the number here, but we just sent just to pet owners. And then it works. I mean, we've seen a huge decrease in people dumping pet waste in catch basins. We used to get multiple reports every year as we cleaned our catch basins, and we've gone down to virtually none. So we've seen results from this program. I can go to the next one. And that's it. I think this is my last slide. So like just kind of go through what the benefits of having a program like we do. It's an annual schedule, so established messages makes less work. So we're not probably running around looking for another message or trying to figure out what's next. It's quick and easy adaptation for new means of outreach. So if something new comes up, we already have our information and we can adapt it to that. They're clear and consistent message in language to the residents. So it's all the same language, and they know what they're getting. We know what we're sending out. It's all kind of the information has been vetted. Residents have reached via multiple outlets. Like I said, if you don't even have the internet, we're still going to get to you because we're mailing something to you. So you know, you might not think people don't have the internet, but some older people, they're not going to, you know, look on the town website. So we are trying to get to everybody. We did go through, we established our stormwater utility, and we've seen that a lot of people were already familiar with what stormwater is, and because they knew about our program. And when we did promote our, you know, especially at events, we were talking about stormwater. We weren't telling people that, you know, we weren't talking about a stormwater utility. We were just talking about stormwater, but they also kind of knew. And I think, and I went and did another presentation for the EPA on engaging our stakeholders, and the EPA did establish that to pass the stormwater utility, they suggest that you have 2 to 3 years of a public outreach program in place before you actually go to pass the stormwater utility. And again, so we had a huge decrease in IDD reports. I think people are starting to realize whether it's, you know, not to dump oil in your catch basin, or make sure your car's not leaking and stuff like that, or dumping dog waste in catch basins and stuff like that. And then overall, you know, you cleaner rivers and waterways and wetlands. And that's, you know, obviously that's the ultimate goal that you know, the EPA has in mind and every town has in mind. So that's it. I think my last one is the just any questions and contact information. And I'd be more than happy to help any town out with you know, any vendors or any other information I can give. So that's it.
Great, thank you so much. That was a really excellent overview. What seems to be a very successful outreach and education program, which is, I think, such a critical step in achieving successful engagement in stormwater management. So now we have some time for a little bit of discussion and definitely some questions for both Arthur and Laura. So first, does anyone have any general questions for Arthur or Laura? And thank you both again for being our wonderful presenters today.
Good job, Arthur.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I do you know, enjoy when I do meet with people at different events and stuff. And I think the best thing is I always kind of talk about what they do and what we do and stuff like that. And it's always good to know what other towns are doing, and we can always kind of incorporate, oh, that might work for us. That's why I think I was kind of getting at with our presentation. I thought that people would be like, all right, maybe we can try that, or we can do that too. But it's always, but you know, it's always, I think, very specific to each town and what impairment you have. So there's a lot of specifics that go in. But overall, I think a lot of the towns, I do have a lot of the general stuff. We'll kind of have a similar stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, and NMCOG is actually working on updating some regional outreach materials as well. So we hope to be in touch with some of those soon. And hopefully, yeah, those can all be used by every town. And of course, I'm also very happy to help with producing and developing any outreach materials that may be needed for specific towns. And I do have here some guiding discussion questions to just get us chatting a little bit. So I'm just curious to hear more about the experiences of each town representative that we have here. So to recall Laura's presentation, just want to hear about some of the challenges your community faced in updating bylaws or reviewing those bylaws and maybe some successful strategies. And if you could also share some successful examples of community outreach and education within your specific communities. I know we have heard of some great examples of strategies to be implemented by your towns from Arthur's perspective. So it would be great to hear from others. And I can ask a question to kick us off. Arthur, do you, since you're tracking all of these metrics, do you have an idea of which of these different techniques has been the most successful in engaging the most amount of people and having the most actionable results?
It's tough to say. I mean, because we the way we structure it, we kind of putting the message out on multiple different formats. I know that obviously the social media, I try to keep up and see if like are people viewing it or like responding to it. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. The most effective might be doing all of it at the same time. It's very hard to. It's. I think in this day and age, it's just people get so much information at them. 30 years ago, if I got an article in the newspaper, right, and like, wow, everybody would read it. I'd know, or if it was an ad on Channel 5 or something, a lot of people would have seen it. Now there's so many forms of media that you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to put it in the on the town's website and I'm done, because somebody might not go to the website. They might go to your social media. They might go to the library and look at this brochure. So like, I think what happens is that you have to adapt to this new age of like trying to get information to people, because it's very difficult. And we see it all the time, not only through stormwater, just how do you get a message to someone that we're paving their street? It's like, because there's so many, because some people, don't go to website, or, don't have internet, or don't look at, some people on reverse, don't look at any mail. They don't like, I throw it all away, so, well, we did definitely see a huge decline in reports and IDD reports. I think people got the picture, especially with the pet waste. I think there's a lot of pet owners in town. I think there was like 6,000 or something. It was like 6,000. No, it's 2,500. 2,500 dog permits go out a year. If every one of that, and we try to get to every one of those persons through the permit and whatnot. But there was a huge percentage of people that were just not picking up their dog poo and throwing it in the woods, or throwing it in the catch basin and not caring for so long. So we used to get maybe 10, 20 reports a year around town, 10, 20 catch basins, meaning that they had multiple deposits of dog waste, and now we're getting close to none. So we definitely have seen a huge decline in that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a hard time to share information now with so many different outlets. And so it's great that you're being flexible and adapting to the new world media. So definitely some great lessons to learn there for all of our communities. Does anyone else have any questions or any experiences or challenges that they would like to share? Again, I'll be happy to share all of these resources. I'll be forwarding Arthur's great presentation after the meeting, as well as a recording of this meeting. So you can explore all the resources that Arthur shared with more time and a little bit less of the hecticness of going back and forth between shared screens. So hopefully that'll also be helpful in developing your own outreach and education strategies and materials. And if there are no questions, we can keep going and again, you'll have Arthur's contact information and Laura's contact information, so feel free to reach them directly or reach out to me if anything comes up after the meeting. So we're going to transition to a new initiative that we're undertaking within NMSC, which is the creation of a PFAS working group. So to give a brief overview of a very complex issue, PFAS are per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, and they have been manufactured since the 1940s. They're very popular chemicals used in nonstick, water repellent gear, firefighting foam, clothing generally, and a variety of other consumer goods. And they're often termed forever chemicals because they have a carbon-fluorine bond, which is very, very difficult to break down. Makes them very persistent in the environment. They can accumulate in stormwater, drinking water, and pose great hazards to human and animals alike. And Massachusetts state's regulations state that safe levels or the maximum contaminant level are of PFOA and PFOS, which are the most produced and the most studied chemicals, are below 20 parts per million, which is this very low number essentially means that there's virtually no safe level of exposure. And unfortunately, PFAS are very difficult to regulate, test for, treat. So it is critical for the public and environmental health to address this issue through education, testing, treatment, and legislative action to hopefully get the production of those chemicals banned. So here in this little graphic, you can see that PFAS originate from industry, so they're chemically produced and end up in, as I mentioned, firefighting foam, a plethora of consumer goods, end up in our environment. And since our environment and us are very interconnected, go into our food and to us. And PFAS also bioaccumulate, which means that once they enter an organism, they they don't really leave, and they accumulate in very high levels within things like fish or other animals and ourselves too. So, and this can lead to a variety of health issues, which is we definitely want to avoid. So the creation of the PFAS working group, this is in hopes of addressing our community's needs. So we propose the creation of this working group to have a defined set of people and hopefully representatives from each of our communities that will be tasked with addressing community goals and building a coalition for competitive regional grant applications, outreach and education, and local, state, and federal legislative advocacy. So this group would meet regularly outside of regular NMSC meetings, and of course, depending on the availability of members and regional needs. We are aiming, as I mentioned, to have at least one representative from each town in NMSC to have effective representation and regional coalition building and resource sharing. So I'll be in touch to recruit members for this working group, but we'd wanted to gauge general interests. So if you could raise your hand with the little Zoom reaction if this is an issue that your community is facing, and if you may be interested or know someone that may be interested in being a town representative for the PFAS working group. So if you could do the little hand reaction, it would be really great to get an idea of who is dealing with PFAS and who is interested in being a part of the PFAS working group. So I'll raise my hand because I think this is a very important issue, and hopefully we can get a little bit more community buy-in. I see someone from Pepperell has raised their hand, which I know, Paula, thank you. I know Pepperell is dealing with PFAS contamination and exploring a variety of options to remedy that in their community. Paul, thank you as well. So I think both of those representatives are from Pepperell. So hopefully we can get more engagement from all of our communities so that this is a very comprehensive and regional effort, as I think that would be a more effective way to address the PFAS issue. So that is all on the PFAS front for now. As I said, I will be in touch with an email recruiting more members and hopefully an initial kickoff meeting for the PFAS working group soon. So be on the lookout for that. Next and final order of business is the next NMSC meeting. So we are aiming to schedule that for February of next year. It'll be, yeah, we'll be in touch like we were with a doodle poll for this meeting. So hopefully we can have pick a day that works for more people and have better attendance. And I wanted to gauge, I think maybe just brainstorm what sort of topics people would like to see covered in that next meeting. So feel free to drop something in the chat and or go ahead and unmute yourself if there's something that you feel very strongly about being covered in the next meeting.
So we're gonna be meeting in person again?
We can. I think the plan was to do a virtual meeting, but depending on interest, we can definitely hold an in-person meeting if that is preferred. I guess the question is, would everyone prefer an in-person meeting? Is that a preferred format?
Anyone prefer a virtual meeting?
Was that a thumbs up for in-person or virtual, Paul? In person. Great, both are fine. Prefer an in-person meeting. Okay, great. So looks like then we'll explore hosting an in-person meeting fully at the NMCOG office for February and maybe provide warm drinks in the cold winter time. So more to come on that. And like I said, if you're not receiving our emails, feel free to drop your email in the chat and I will include you in the mailing list. And looks like there's a lot of preference for in-person. So thank you for the feedback. Really do appreciate that. And we'll make sure to work on hosting more in-person meetings now that everything seems to be going back to normal. Great. So that is all I have. Thank you all so much for attending. And if there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll be sharing Arthur's and Laura's contact information as well. So be on the lookout for updates from the meeting and for a doodle poll for February's meeting. Thank you all. Are there any final questions? Great.
Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for
Daniela,
attending.
thank you.